would you please welcome Angela Dixon, nee Tude Hope. Now, she's lead consultant, Humanology Group, and that is a mining name, and I know she's going to talk a little bit about that. But Angela has spent more than 2 decades working at the intersection of mental health, workplace safety, and organisational culture within mining communities. And Angela has witnessed firsthand the profound human toll of unsafe work. Would you please welcome Angela to the stage?
Good morning. It was the 20th of February 2019. I was at work when the phone rang. There's been an incident. One person has died and many others have been injured. We need urgent on-site psychological support, and we need someone to accompany police to inform a wife that her husband has died. Over the 12 years that I worked for this psychological service, we supported around 100 critical incidents every year, many in mining and too many involving deaths. Despite living in mining communities for most of my life, my instinctive response was always the same. Probably won't be anyone that I know. We tell ourselves this lie because we have to. We don't ever want to think it's anyone we'll know. Until this day, for me, it was. That day, Brad Hardwick, a father whose children would never again hear his footsteps at the door, a husband whose warmth and words of reassurance would never be felt by his wife again, a mate whose kindness and laughter was silenced forever, a respected member of our mining community whose loss left a hole that could never be filled. Brad was my dear friend's husband, my husband's old workmate. He died at work that day at Anglo American's Moranbah North mine. Just last week, my friend Lisa, Brad's wife, his widow, told me, "I still can't believe that there is no resolve, and we are 6.5 years on. It hurts like hell to not be able to live fully and move forward, but I try to keep pushing forward every day." 6.5 years, over 2,300 days of waking up to an empty bed and still not having answers and closure about what happened that day and why. This is the true cost we rarely speak about. The waves of grief that keep coming and the price that keeps being paid. When people die in our industry, the pain pulsates through every single mining town, whether we are in Moranbah, Collinsville, Blackwater, or here in Mara. The grief is collective, binding us together in ways that we never wanted to be bound. This culture lives in my blood. My family's mining history stretches right back to Mount Mulligan. I grew up on Walker Street in Collinsville, a street named after Frederick Ernest Walker, one of the 7 miners killed in the Collinsville disaster of 1954. The street I played on as a child, a memorial to mining's toll. For generations, silence has been how we've traditionally dealt with the unbearable. Years ago, I was teaching my dad, who was a deputy at the time, how to use Google. I put his name into the Google search engine to demonstrate how it worked, and a hit popped up. He said, "Oh, am I on the internet?" It was a document with the inquiry findings about the death of David Firth in the late 80s in Collinsville. My dad was listed in the inquiry documents as a witness. Perplexed, I thought, why have I never heard of this? He'd never spoken about it, not once. When asked, he told me what happened. He was there when his mate David, someone he went to school with, someone he worked alongside for many years, died in a roof cave-in underground. Had it have not been his turn for smoko, had it have been 2 minutes earlier or later, my dad could have been the one under the rock that day. The randomness of survival, the cruel lottery of who comes home and who doesn't, that must haunt him to this day. My mum said back in those days, wives would often drive their husbands to and from work because most families only ever had the one car. She recalls driving to site that day to pick up my dad, along with all the other wives who were doing the same, only to be told by the company representative at the gate that someone has died, but we can't tell you who. Can you imagine that moment? The dread spreading through that group of women. Imagine praying that it wasn't your husband while knowing with crushing certainty that it must be someone's. That was a Thursday. Friday was their rostered day off. By Monday, they were expected to be back at work. These experiences and stories carried through generations of mining families like mine are now why I work with companies in the mining industry to drive change in safety culture. We have come a long way since then in how we prevent safety risks, respond to tragedy, and how we care for our people. But we are nowhere near where we need to be. We've been conditioned to believe that mining is dangerous. Sometimes the work just happens to kill people. We've made peace with the unacceptable. We've normalised the unbearable. This is not normal. This is not acceptable, and it never should be. The toll is not just physical, it is emotional, and it is generational. Memorial services like this one help us to break that silence, not just for those we've lost, but for those who are still carrying the weight of it. Today, we speak the unspeakable. Here's the message for all of us to carry forward. To our workers, have the courage to speak up. Stop work when something doesn't feel right. Curiously question. Respectfully challenge. Speaking up is hard, but it is not as hard as having to knock on the door to tell someone that their loved one is never coming home. To our company leaders, you have a moral, ethical, and legal responsibility to protect your workers, not just physically, but with legislative changes now psychologically. Look honestly in the mirror and ask yourself, do workers at your site truly feel safe to raise safety concerns? When people do speak up, how are they responded to? Are they heard or are they dismissed? Are they thanked or are they treated as obstacles to productivity? True speak-up cultures exist when speaking up isn't just welcomed, it becomes the norm. It's expected and it's celebrated. When people speak up about safety risks, leaders must listen. Not to defend, not to dismiss, but to understand, to learn and to action change. To everyone here today and for those watching from afar who have lost someone in a mining tragedy, we see you. We hear you. Your pain matters and your loss matters. Please know that there are people in your corner fighting for cultural change, refusing to accept that this is just the way things are now. We owe it to every name we speak today, and we owe it to every worker who will put on their boots tomorrow, hoping to come home safely to their family. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.